Hello everybody, how are you doing? Today I'm checking out the brand new Control S88MK3 by Native Instruments. And I'm going to answer the question, is this the ultimate MIDI controller for film composers and producers? I'm very well aware that I'm a bit late to the game. There are tons of videos about Complete Control Mark III all over YouTube. Many creators have made videos about it. So I'm not going to make a typical video in this case explaining all the features, because that's not what I'm here to do. In this video, I'm going to give you my honest thoughts about this controller, what I like about it, and what I think could be improved. And I have some things that I feel they can be improved. And I know many of you will think otherwise, so I'm going to state it straight away. This video is not sponsored by Native Instruments. I know you might have seen many videos that were sponsored by Native Instruments about the Complete Control. This is not sponsored, but I want to disclose for full transparency, they did send me an NFR unit, but they didn't ask me to make a video. I'm not obliged to make a video. They don't know that I'm making a video, and they're not going to watch this video before you do. And even if they did sponsor the video, I would still give you my honest opinion about this product. I'm never gonna say that something is good if I don't believe that is good. So with this out of the way, let me talk a little bit about the build quality, and this is the one thing that you will notice straight away when you take this keyboard out of the box. And in my opinion, the build quality is a step up in every single way, every single way. So the keyboard feels beautiful. It's a fantastic keyboard. I want to say this straight away, because I know that if you're going for this kind of hammer graded keyboard, you know why you're going for this kind of keyboard. You're either a pianist like I am, or you're composing like I am. So this is a huge step up compared to the old keyboard. I'm very picky with keyboards, so the previous one, when it came especially to Aftertouch, wasn't really cutting it for me. So I was not using it for Aftertouch so much. I was using my Montage for Aftertouch, but this is a huge step up when it comes to Aftertouch, and of course it has polyphonic Aftertouch. So let me show you. This is a plugin that supports polyphonic Aftertouch, and if you've ever played on a real CS80, you know that one of the best things that it has is the polyphonic Aftertouch, and I'm always trying to emulate this behavior because I've played on real CS80s many times, and it's like a feeling that I can't describe. It's just amazing. So let me show you. So you will see that I can have individual control of all the notes. This is a sound that I've programmed, and basically what I'm doing is I have the brilliance here and also vibrato when I use Aftertouch. So I can go. And I have to say, Native Instruments also improved the Aftertouch response as well. So you have a very gradual and natural Aftertouch behavior. So it's not steppy, it's very smooth. Perfect. So this is something that I really like, and immediately it's a selling point for me. The next thing that I found extremely annoying in the previous version, and I said it on my video, was the position of the touch strip. I really like the touch strip. I like to use it when I'm composing and when I'm programming strings and stuff like this, but it was down here in the previous version, so this was really getting in the way. I would accidentally touch it, and I kind of developed like a muscle memory, so I was always positioning my arm like this so I would never touch it. They fixed that, and now first of all, the touch strip is up there, and also the wheels, the pitch bend and the mod wheel are so much better. With the added touch of this kind of lovely LED here, I really like that. They're cold to the touch, if you know what I mean. So they feel like they're metal, and they do feel more robust. So this is, again, much better. The next thing that was improved are these knobs right here. They feel so much better. Obviously, the screen is huge now. It's bigger and you can see a lot of information. The same thing goes for this wheel right here, which is also a joystick. And I have to say, as a whole experience, it feels like a more premium product compared to the previous S88. The keys also have a different feel, different touch. And I have to say, as a pianist, I prefer this to the previous version. It's a little bit more smooth. It's quite nice, I have to admit. It goes without saying that it controls qbas. If you've watched my previous video, I go really deep into what it can do, so I'm not gonna go through this right here. But basically you can select your channels, you can change the level of the channels like this, or if you go shift and up with your joystick, you control the panning. All the standard functions, metronome, the recording, stop, start, and all these things, undo, redo, quantize, everything is right there. The next thing that I really like about this version is that you can use it with Kontakt natively straight away without having to use the complete control instrument inside your DAW. So as you can see right here, it mirrors what Kontakt shows me on the screen, and I can just select any product that I want. For example, I might want to load piano colors. I can just load it like that, and immediately I have the interface and quite a few of the parameters on the screen. Then if I want to switch to another instrument, I can go like this and I can say, you know, actually I want to load Noir, and I can go to Noir and I can just use the pure preset, really nice. And you have the most common parameters right there at your fingertips. This is really cool, but that's not the reason why I really like this. The reason why I like this is because before you had to use complete control in order to have this integration. And I personally don't like using complete control, not because it's a bad piece of software or it's a bad instrument, but when you try and recall things later on, you don't know what was inside complete control. It's really tricky to know what was inside that instance. So let's say you loaded, I don't know, an Arturia instrument inside complete control. Then let's say 2 years down the line, you want to recall this project. You don't know what instrument was contained in there. If you haven't installed the instrument, you just know that something is missing from complete control. And most of the times, quite honestly, I was using my complete control with Kontakt instruments. So now that I can just load Kontakt, that I would load it anyway, and I know that I have all the libraries for Kontakt, I know that fewer things can go wrong. So I really like this new integration with Kontakt. This is really nice. It's not a gimmick. If you're composing, there's no way that you're not using Kontakt. So the fact that now it works natively in Kontakt is a big plus for me, and that's the reason why I'm not going back to my old one. I am so used to this right now that I'm completely glued to this workflow with Kontakt. So this is great. And the other great thing is if I go to another instrument, you will see that immediately it jumps to the default MIDI template, which means that now I can use all these controllers for my other VST instruments that do not run in complete control or Kontakt. Another thing that I like quite a bit is that you can set up quite a few things without running an editor. So if I hit my settings, we have quite a few things: hardware, keybed, pedals, touch strip, wheels, and so on and so forth. I can change the display brightness straight from the keyboard without running an app. And I can even change the color of my LEDs right here. And also disable the light guide altogether. And this is a recurring theme, so you can say, okay, velocity, curve, linear, hard, and so on and so forth. This is really nice. You can also disable aftertouch altogether from the keyboard, which is so useful. Many times when I play instruments that react to aftertouch, like Superior Drummer, for example, it has cymbal chokes with the aftertouch, and I never want this most of the times. I used to have like a MIDI filter in Cubase to be able to just bypass these messages, but now I can just say, okay, I want to go from polyphonic aftertouch to monophonic aftertouch to aftertouch off, which is great. And most of the times I actually leave it at monophonic aftertouch, and only when I'm playing polyphonic aftertouch instruments I'm turning the polyphonic aftertouch on. Same goes with the pedals. You can have a sustain pedal, you can change the switch, you can invert it like I do because I have Yamaha pedals, I have other pedals as well, so sometimes I have to invert the polarity of the pedals very often. This is all doable on the actual keyboard, and even if you don't connect it to a computer, it still works, which is great. Then the touch strip, you can change the controller type, and you can set up the range, which makes this controller more useful. You can change the pitch bend behavior of the modulation wheel, and I like the fact that I can do this on the keyboard. This feels to me more like a hardware synth rather than like a controller where I have to go into an editor and do all these things. And now for the things that I'm not so excited about, and there are a few of them, but you know, I want you to be aware of them so that you can tell if these matter to you. The first thing is these controllers. I used to use these controllers quite a bit with the previous version, and I had my own templates, so I used them to control Retrolog, I used them to control Halion, things that you cannot control with complete control, and I wish at some point we will be able to control them, but for now you can't. So you're relying on these knobs right here. To my understanding, up to this point, there's no way that you can customize those. From what I've heard, is that Native Instruments are going to implement editing of these controllers so you can create your own mappings, which is great. Is this a big issue? It depends on what you do. In my case, I would really like to have my own templates because I use a lot of instruments that you can't control natively, and I like having this control right here. We have 8 beautiful encoders. I really want to tell them what to do. Hey my friends, Future Doms here. This video was supposed to be released today, which is the 1st of August. Actually, I've already released this video on my members page, so if you're a member, you've probably watched this video already. But when I opened Native Access today, I found out that there was an update for the S88MK3, and it addresses most of the issues that I talk about on this video that I actually shot back in June. So I wanted to include this update in this video, even if it's a little bit impromptu like this, and I wanted you to be the first to know about this. Okay, so this is not going to be very polished. I just installed the update, and I'm going to give you a very quick overview. So as you can see right here, I have my own DOM qbas template. This took me literally 5 minutes to create. So basically, once you install the new firmware, all you need to do is, first of all, we have new settings. So if you go to settings, you can see you have more controls for the aftertouch, which is quite cool. I wanted that, to be honest with you. And we also have the MIDI templates. If you go shift and browse, you get into your MIDI templates page. And here you can create new templates, you can edit an existing template, you can duplicate, you can delete, rename, and so on and so forth. But you can also import and export templates, which is amazing. So as you can see, I've already created 2 templates. If I go to my DOM qbas and I hit edit, you will see that now you can select your controllers. So these are your buttons, these are our knobs, and you can change the type of the controller, the number, the channel, the mode, and so on and so forth. So I created 2 templates that will actually help me when I'm controlling stuff in Cubase. So if I go again shift and browser, I can go synth. This is my synth template, so I have my CC controls right there. But if I go shift and browse, I can select my Cubase template, and this I created a MIDI remote template, so I can control my quick controls in Cubase, but I can also use these buttons to add a track, activate my click track, duplicate the channel, and all these things. The next thing you cannot do, and I really like doing in the previous version, is I like to create different zones with the LEDs here. So I had like a red zone here and a blue zone here, for example. And I was doing this to help me with some libraries that have specific key switches. It was very easy to see where those key switches are, and I was creating my own templates. To be honest with you, it's not a big deal, but it was nice to have it. And again, I think this is going to be implemented later on. And remember how I told you I missed the ranges right here and the LEDs? Well, now you can change and set your ranges straight from the controller. So if I go here and I press here where it says buttons and knobs, I go to pedals, I go to touch strip and wheels. You can customize these without an app anymore. Here we go to key zones. Native Instruments took a little bit of time to do this, but they did it beautifully. So now if I want to add a range, I can click add here and I immediately have my ranges right here. And you can see the change right there. So if I want to add one more, there you go. I can just add another range, and for every range I can set the type, I can set the channel, the transposition, I can change the velocity for every range. This is amazing. And of course the key zones and the color, which is beautiful. And I just installed this, so I haven't dug into this. So I have to admit, most of the issues that I had with the S88 Mark III have been not only fixed, but they exceeded my expectations. And the last thing that I would really hope for the next version, Native, if you're listening, take this into consideration, is, look at this. There's so much space right here. Give us either one motorized fader, just one motorized fader that follows the track selection in Cubase, or 8 faders, or 12 faders. I don't care, give me as many faders as possible. There's a lot of room on the other side as well, so why not? And I'm going to tell you why not, because the price of the keyboard would be much, much higher. So I totally understand, and I don't know this from Native, it's common sense. I know that this is already a pricey keyboard controller, and if they made it, I don't know, $1,000 more expensive, maybe it would be out of reach for many people. Of course, it would be more favorable for film composers and professionals, but I do understand that if you're going to raise the price so much, you have to kind of weigh things and decide whether you want to add like 8 faders, motorized faders. This would bring the price way up. Also, something that I wouldn't like to see is cheap faders. Let me know in the comments down below what you think, but I hate cheap faders. I hate cheap key beds. So if they were going to add cheap faders, I prefer to have my own faders and just place them right here and have better control rather than have cheap faders. I would hate that. And the last thing I would like this keyboard to have, and maybe Native Instruments will make it possible, would be more integration with Cubase, because you have all these beautiful encoders here again. So why not have a pre-made script for MIDI remote in Cubase, like I have for my Monogram CC, like some other MIDI controllers. You plug them in and immediately can control Cubase in many different ways. I think Native could take advantage of this and create a script where when you plug it into Cubase, all these knobs do something really cool. It could be my pre-gain, my filter, my EQs. For any selected channel, it could be multiple different things, or it could be mapping things to my VST instruments that I load in Cubase. I think there's a lot of potential there, and I think developers really need to dig in and start writing scripts for MIDI remote, because this is a MIDI keyboard that's targeted largely to film composers. And guess what? Film composers largely use Cubase. I'm not saying that they all use Cubase, but it's a big percentage of film composers that use Cubase. So maybe it would be a good idea to have a little bit more integration with Cubase. On to my final thoughts. I think this version as a whole is much better than the previous version. There's no question about this when it comes to my needs and the way I use it. I told you what are the things that are not there yet, but they are going to be implemented as far as I know. I would like them to be implemented sooner than later, but I understand that this could be a big deal for many people if you cannot customize them from the set-go. So maybe if you're that person, you can wait until Native Instruments release a new firmware. But for me, just the key bed, the polyphonic aftertouch, and the tight integration with Kontakt makes up for these things that are going to be ironed out. Especially the Kontakt thing is huge. You have to try to understand how quickly you can work if you have loads of Kontakt libraries like I do. So there you go, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this honest review of this new MIDI controller by Native Instruments. If you want to support the channel, you can use the join button. Many of you asked for it. I did it. There you go. You can also use the super thanks, or you can check out my instruments, my Apollo expansion for Patch Shop, or the Motor 80 Kit Max. Let us know in the comments down below what you think about the S88 Mark III, and I'll see you on the next one, my friends. Bye-bye.